DJ Lagway is once again in a walking boot, reportedly. What the hell does that even mean for Florida Gators fans?
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Wednesday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find all my written work about the Florida Gators with swampsignal.substack.com. Ton of love shown to the Monday article, so thank you very much for that. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the app today. And it got reported on Monday. I forgot if it was morning or early afternoon, but it got reported on Monday that DJ Lagway, Florida Gators starting quarterback, is in a walking boot. Again, right? And no one likes hearing that. Obviously, it sucks. No one likes to see it. It sucks. But here's the thing. This is now the second time that it's been reported he's in a walking boot, and I'm going to continue saying it that way because it wouldn't shock me if this was some kind of thing where, yeah, he wears the walking boot for a day or two after the game as a precautionary thing. It's been reported, by the way, it was broken by Graham Hall. It's been reported since then that it is a precautionary thing. And so it wouldn't shock me if he did this every week, right? Like it wouldn't shock me if every Sunday, Monday, he wore the walking boot and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is practicing. But that's the important part, right? Where I'm saying that he's practicing, because if he's practicing and it's a precautionary thing, I don't particularly care. It perhaps adds some context as to why he's been struggling so much. It perhaps adds, I don't want to say an excuse. I don't like saying excuses for anything, which is why I'm not like, oh yeah, I don't want to give him an excuse. I don't like just using excuses. But perhaps maybe it gives a little bit of an explanation for some of his struggles, right? But let's also be abundantly clear. Your foot bothering you for whatever the injury is, or ankle, calf, whatever the reporting is, shouldn't impact your ability to read a defense, right? That's why I say if he can still practice, it doesn't bother me. If he's going to miss practice during this bye week where it's time to get things right, it's going to bother me. But again, I don't think this is a big, like, let's wave the red flag. I know it was real crazy how quickly Twitter went, he's faking it and redshirting, and not even like 10 minutes after that, the reports were like, we still expect him to play in the Texas game. That, I want to say that confidence in his ability to play in the Texas game, the day that the report comes out about him being in a walking boot, and 12 days before Florida plays Texas, already saying, yeah, we expect him to play in that Texas game. Honestly, that gives me a bit of confidence that he's going to be playing in it. It does, because coming out that early and saying, yes, sure, that does give me a little bit more confidence as well. Like, maybe this is a weekly occurrence. Maybe. I don't know. Everyone knows I'm not in Gainesville. I don't know that factually, but maybe this is a weekly occurrence. That, hey, he puts the precautionary boot on for Sunday, Monday, however often he wears it, and that's it. And this time, he just happened to be seen, right? Like, that sounds more likely, because, again, it sounds more likely that he wears that boot precautionarily after a game and got seen this time doing it than, oh, this is a new thing, but he's still going to be able to play in 12 days. Like that just doesn't track, because if it was a new thing, you wouldn't know that yet. If it was new, you wouldn't know that, hey, he's going to be good to play in 12 days. I do believe that this is a precautionary thing. I do believe, I'm hoping, that he's going to be full go in practice. Will he play better? I really don't know at that point. Yeah, I can't say that like we know what he's going to look like. We know how he's going to play. The fact is that he's played awful football so far. And there's constantly the conversation of, is he fixable? I know Brooks Austin tweeted it, I think on Monday, that is DJ Lagway fixable at this point? And I think the answer is yes. The hard truth of the situation, and the hard, I guess the hard part about talking about it, is that I don't know if he's fixable at Florida. I really don't. Just because like he looks shell shocked out there. He really does. He just looks shell shocked when he's out there. Doesn't look like the same confident guy that we saw consistently. And look, you're going to hear from you're going to hear from Hayden Hansen later on in this episode, and he's going to tell you how DJ's moving, how DJ's acting, and that DJ's got some fire under his ass right now. But to me, I don't see him every day. I see him every Saturday on the field, and that's pretty much it. And when I see him on the field, I don't see the same DJ Lagway that we saw last year. I see one that has completed more or a higher percentage of his passes, but also that same percentage has dropped every week of the season. Like, I don't know what DJ Lagway we're going to get week in and week out anymore. I can tell you that this year we haven't seen last year's DJ. Even against Long Island, I said, he completed a lot of his passes, but his misses were pretty bad misses. Like his misses were, and a lot of his completions were underneath there, but his misses were downfield and they were pretty bad misses. And so I don't know. Like, I know there's people keep going, oh, well, I'll start Trammell. And it's like, I don't think that's going to happen either. I think this is going to go down with DJ Lagway as starting quarterback. And I will say this, like, I wonder if you get to a certain point in the season where DJ Lagway shuts it down. And I don't mean that in the sense of opting out, like many people are like, oh, some fake injury. This kid is clearly not fully healthy. I don't think he's, debilitatingly banged up, but he's clearly not fully healthy yet. At a certain point, like if you guys get eliminated from bowl eligibility, does he just shut it down and say, hey, I'm going to take this time to just rehabilitate and get right? If that's going to be to get right to play at Florida or to not play at Florida, that's to be determined. And look, I don't want DJ to leave. I want to make that abundantly clear. I'm saying that, yeah, it wouldn't shock me if he were to leave at some point. I don't know if he can get right at Florida. The only reason I would want him to leave Florida is if he wants to leave Florida. Like that's it. That's the only reason. If he doesn't feel like he can get right at Florida, then so be it. Go get right, because I do think that you still got a ton of potential to be a great quarterback. I still think he's fixable. I don't know if it's going to happen at Florida. I don't think it'll happen with this coaching staff, to be honest. That's just how I'm feeling about it. And I know that people are going to hate that, like, all of a sudden, I know, I feel like in the past week or so, people have been like, oh, you're handling that really well. And it's like, now that I'm talking about DJ Lagway, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to work. I'm sure people are going to get mad about the way that I'm saying. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. I'm trying to be honest, like I'm always trying to be. And that I don't know if this coaching staff has it in them to turn things around with DJ Lagway. And I'm not talking about winning games. I'm talking about literally his play on the field. I don't know if they've got it in him, if they've got it in them to get him right. Because at this point, it's been 4 weeks. Outside of one drive against Miami, I didn't see them really change things up to make things easier for him. With the walking boot, it's pretty clear that what a lot of people have said was, oh, well, get him running, get him moving, and that'll help. And it's like, well, if he has to wear a precautionary walking boot, that's because his legs aren't fully healthy, and so you can't really run with him like that. I really think that right now it's just a combination of a lot of bad, both with DJ Lagway's play and what the coaching staff is doing right now. I think a lot of it's just a lot of bad. And I don't mean that to be incredibly harsh. I just mean like DJ Lagway has not been able to escape pressure the same way that we've seen him escape pressure. Part of that is probably his leg. Part of that is, like I said yesterday, he's bulked up a bit. Maybe that's made him less mobile. And so I think there's a lot that goes into it. I still believe that he's got the ability to turn it around. Because again, like we've seen him be pretty damn good at times. He hasn't been that this year, but I don't like to think like, oh yeah, that means that you can't do it. We haven't seen that this year. We've seen him play really bad football this year, but also this year's been 4 weeks. We've got a much larger sample size of him playing some quality football. And we've seen like a glimpse here and there of him having it still. It's about getting him to do anything with any sort of consistency. And honestly, like let's say during this off week, during this bye week, let's say you're spending most of that time not worrying about timing with the receivers, not worrying about handling the pressure, and just work on getting your mechanics better this week if possible. Just go slow with it. Just make sure you're getting your feet underneath you. Make sure that you're operating the way that you should be operating. And sure, offensive line can work on their communication issues that are clearly killing them right now. But and also they played a piss poor game against Miami. I'm not saying they didn't. I am saying that LSU was a lot of them just miscommunicating. And so I think like if the offensive line can get their feet beneath them, if DJ Lagway can physically get his feet beneath him as a passer, and look, maybe part of the reason for his mechanics being so off is that foot, calf, ankle, whatever the hell you want to call it. Maybe it is that, and that's why his mechanics are gone. But the fact remains his mechanics have gone to absolute crap this season, and they need to be corrected. And I know people can blame anybody they want. They can blame any quarterback trainer they want. The fact remains that he didn't practice for the spring and most of the summer, and we're seeing the result of that. And again, I believe in him getting it right. I don't know if it'll be at Florida. I'm going to be completely honest. And I know that's way more dull than people, or way more pessimistic than people were probably hoping for. But again, whether it's good news, bad news, all I'm going to do is give my honest opinion about things. And for DJ Lagway, I still think he can get it right. It's just about when he does it, where he does it, and how healthy he is at the time, evidently. We are about to be joined by Hayden Hansen to talk about the Miami loss and trying to turn this season around for Billy Napier when we get back with Locked On Gators. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move, right? From footwork, which we just spent a bunch of time talking about, to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how they craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available leather upholstery. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes simply irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. And most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you too. You can link all of your accounts in just minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. Joining me now for Locked On Gators is Hayden Hansen, Florida Gators starting tight end. And Hayden, we know the drill at this point. What happened versus Miami?
Yeah, man. I know I'm going to come on here sound like a broken record. At the end of the day, defense has been playing their tail off. I think I said it last week. I think we have the best defense in the nation. And the frustrating part is on my side of the ball, on the offense, you've got to finish. I say it every week. I don't know us to come on here and say, but it comes down to execution. It comes down to the play calls, the schemes. We have to fit it up right. We really got to use this bye week to get to work, man, and get this offensive thing on the road, because I feel like, in my opinion, that's the last thing we need. And I feel like if our offense plays as good as our defense, we're the best in the nation. But until then, we're going to keep getting the result we've been getting. So we got to go back to the drawing board and get this thing figured out.
How do you figure that out? Because I feel like, and again, obviously, I'm watching from home. I'm watching on TV. I'm not in there with it, or I'm not in there with you guys. I'm not on the field with you at all. But it feels to me like there have been quite a few times this season where part of the missed assignments blocking have been miscommunication. I don't know if that'd be the right way to describe it, but it feels like there have been quite a few, though, probably more so this year than last year, which I don't think was expected considering how much of this offense is back from last year. So how do you it's not even find it again?
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it. Miscommunication. It's not being on the same page. It's bad fundamentals. It's whatever you want to call it at the end of the day. But you're right. We have a veteran group coming back, and that's probably the most frustrating part. Is we need to come together and get this thing on the road. At the end of the day, it's really our self-inflicted wounds. No one's really came out there and just shut our offense down. You saw us come out the second half, first drive, and score. And we were all on the same page. We were 11 for 11 every play, and you saw the result. So we've got to get back to that every drive. We got to be consistent. We can't, in this league, you can't only show up for one half of football. It'll never work out for you.
And what was halftime like in that locker room? Because the first half, I'm going to be just completely honest here, it was a tough watch from my side of things. It was just tough to sit there, and it always is tough to sit there whenever any offense can't build momentum there. And for pretty much the whole first half, you guys were unable to do that consistently. So what was halftime like in the locker room, where defense had a rough first drive and then started really they tightened up after that first drive? So just what was halftime like, and the vibe there, and did anybody speak up or anything?
Yeah, we had a lot of guys speaking up, and defense came over and just let us know that they have our back, and they're going to keep defending, and we got to go score. There's always going to be frustration, especially when you're 1-3 now. But that's probably the biggest thing about our team is we stick together through thick and thin. Obviously there's some frustration on the defensive side, and offensively, we have to hold up our end of the deal. Those guys are going out there and fighting their ass off. And at the end of the day, it's falling down on us. And I don't take it lightly. I know DJ doesn't take it lightly, and we just got to get some things figured out. And I think this bye week came at a perfect time. And this week, you really got to get down to the nuts and bolts of this whole offense and get this thing rolling.
Yeah, and obviously you can't say too many things, but just what's DJ kind of been like? Because we saw him after the game a little bit more, I guess I'll say, fired up than usual, with his I guarantee we're going to be better. I'm going to hold people more accountable. And it's at the time that we're recording this, it's still very early in the bye week. So obviously you guys haven't even really gotten into it yet, but just what's he been like as QB1 here?
Yeah, DJ's always been a phenomenal leader throughout the locker room. He's always pointed the finger at himself first, and I've said it before on the show, he takes more blame than he should. But, even last week, there's a fire in his eyes that I haven't really seen before, I get fans are frustrated, and they need to understand that we're probably even more frustrated than they are. We don't want to go out there and score 7 points. The urgency, like the fire under our butts have been there, we've been going harder and harder. But at the end of the day, you can have the perfect game plan, you can have the perfect mindset, but if you don't go out there and go 11 for 11, then there's one missed assignment. You can see what that does, and that's what I'm just going to keep kind of harping on. Is this bye week, you got to really get down to the nuts and bolts, We got to make sure everybody knows what they're doing. We got to make sure everybody knows the execution piece of it. And we just got to go do it. And it's the most frustrating part to me is because that first drive after halftime, that was easy, man. I mean, boom, 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 11 for 11, block, moving out of our gaps. Like me, I think there's a clip of me and Tony both getting the pancake on the same outside run play at the same time, and Jaden ball right off both of our butts for 12, 13 yards. I mean, like the most frustrating part to me is we got to do that every time, and I know we're capable of doing that every time. And that's really what I'm going to be harping on with DJ during this bye week is we need to do that drive every time.
Yeah, I mean, that drive, I'm not going to lie, when it was 4th and 2, and you guys ran a QB sweep with DJ, I was like, oh, Lord, that's stuff that we don't really see from him. And so when I saw that coming out, made my heart skip a beat. A hell of a conversion, but made my heart skip a beat a little bit there. But that was actually going to be the next thing that I asked about you. Like, what was it about that first offensive drive coming out? Because it seemed like, yes, you guys were getting, 11 on 11 and you were doing it, but it kind of seemed like you guys were just kicking ass on that drive. Like it felt like we saw more, I'll say, tenacity blocking than we saw. And I will also point out that for the majority of the first half, you guys were in 11 personnel. Second half came out with 12 personnel, which I know a lot of the fan base hates, but I will feel vindicated that was the drive that scored after that one. But yeah, what the hell was it about that first drive for you guys?
I think guys are just, fed up, and they're just like, all right, man, like I'm gonna quit worrying about all this stuff. I'm gonna loosen up and just go play football and go dominate my guy. That's really what it was. I mean, guys let loose, and in my opinion, when we come out in 12P, I feel like we're waving a big black flag, and everyone knows what we're about to do. And can you stop us? And they didn't stop us on that drive, and that's just the frustrating part. Is we go out there and we do what we wanted to do at will. They knew we were going to run the ball 90% of the time, and we did it, and we scored. And that's the thing that gets frustrating. I know like this offense has been getting a lot of criticism about the play calling, the schemes and whatnot. But I mean, we showed what is possible when we all go for 11 for 11. It's at the end of the day, it's not the plays, it's the execution. And when we go out there and execute 12P, 11P, 10P, whatever you want to, whatever it is at the end of the day, if you go 11 for 11, we're going to score points.
I'm still waiting for 14. I just want to throw that out there. I just need to see that one time. That's it. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app, whether you want to bet on a touchdown score, team money line, receiving yards, over or under. Under is probably a good bet for just about any Giants receiver at this point. It's brutal. Or Brian Thomas Jr. for a Florida reference. There you go. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. But what was the locker room like post-game? Because that was, look, I think every Florida fan freaking hates Miami. And the players they were clearly, just talking trash. They were having fun. They ate Gator after the game. It was a whole thing. But what was the locker room like on your side of things with that loss coming in and the way that it came in with, like, I don't think 26-7, obviously that's the final score. I don't think that it felt like it was that bad. It was a 1-score game up until there were 4 minutes and 4 seconds left. But again, similar to the LSU game, I guess we could talk about, where again, it just became defense played their asses off, like you said, and offense just was wildly inconsistent in this one. So just what was the locker room like and the vibe there?
Yeah, obviously emotions were high, frustrations were high, but that's just the one thing the message was, is you can't tear apart, you can't point the finger, because that you're going to lose once you point the finger. We know what needs to be done. We know the issues need to be addressed. We know that defense has been playing to the standard of the Gator logo. Offense has not, and that's one thing that we have to figure out as offensive unit, is we got to start playing up to the standard that we set for ourselves this year. And I think that with this bye week, that should be the main objective, and defense just needs to keep doing what they're doing.
And Coach Napier mentioned some of the players who stepped up into more, I guess we'll say, vocal leadership roles last week were you, Cam James, Trey Smack. You mind giving us some insight into I don't need specifics about what you said, but just into how you stepped up and what that reaction was like and what that was?
Yeah, I mean, I try to step out of my comfort zone. You know, I'm not really the biggest vocal guy. I like to lead by example, you know, and talk to people individually. But I mean, at this point in the season, it's not about me. It's not about how I feel. You know, I gotta pour out and things. It's just like things in practice. You know, like I'm getting on for the little things in the weight room, in the locker room. If I see any negativity, you gotta nip at it. You know, we gotta fix all these little details. You know, and winning kind of makes you go blind to it, but losing magnifies it. You know, like losing will magnify all the little details that you miss throughout the week, and that's kind of where we're at. You know, we have to identify every little thing that could cause us to go backwards, and we have to attack it. You know, like the sense of urgency is higher than it's ever been before in this locker room. So we just have to act like that. We have to attack it like that and go play like that. So.
Yeah, and obviously it's still early in the week at the time that we're recording this, but just what's the bye week been like so far for you guys?
I mean, yeah, it's a little early to tell you, but I mean, we have a week's worth of practice planned out already. We know what the schedule looks like. We know the areas we need to improve on. I can tell you now we're going to attack it. I mean, you saw what DJ was saying. You know, that's our guy, that's our leader. So he's going to start with him, and I have no doubt in my mind it'll start with him, and then the rest of us, like I'm going to have his back. I'm going to relay the messages. We're all going to get this thing straightened out. We have no other choice. You know, you got to sink or swim, and I don't want to sink. So.
And last year, the first bye week, you guys were 2-2, if I'm not mistaken. It was lost to Miami and Texas A&M, and then you beat Samford and Mississippi State, and then the bye week, if I'm not wrong there. But that's when the turnaround started for you guys. It felt really bleak at that point for the fan base. Honestly, it felt similar for the fan base, how it feels right now after the first bye week. And that's when the turnaround started. How do you guys go about trying to kind of replicate that shift that you had last year? Because last year it felt like complete Jekyll and Hyde between what the first 4 weeks were and then after. So how do you kind of replicate that where a lot of you guys did it last year?
Yeah, I mean, it always started with Napier kind of changing up the way we practice, making it more of a competition, blue versus orange, whatever it is, kind of making it more fun, kind of forgetting about the narratives built on us, things like that. I think that could also play into this bye week. You know, we just have to. The biggest thing for a bye week is you got to regroup, identify the key problems, which are very obvious this season. We know the key problems, and we have to fix it. You know, and then you also have to go back at the end of the day, work on your craft, but have fun. You know, like you get so lost in the social media, the narratives around you. It's so negative out there, and you can start, like Napier said this the other day, and I love the way he said it. He said, don't let someone's narrative become your reality. You know, because like you read all this stuff about our team right now. The worst you can do is read that and believe it. You know, we have to make our own belief. We have to fix our own core problems. But at the same time, you have to let loose and have fun and go play. I feel like that was part of our problem is we're too uptight sometimes, you know, and we're scared to make a mistake. But so sometimes you got to cut it loose and just go dominate the guy in front of you, you know. And I think that showed on that first drive of the second half is guys were just like, I'm tired of this, man. That was an embarrassing first half. I'm about to go out there and just do my thing. And that's the point we got to get to every drive.
And I feel like the bye week is probably a pretty good time for self-reflection, right? And there's only so much you can change in a week, right? Like guys aren't going to lose, just hypothetically, like 10 pounds of bad weight if they've got that. They're not about to pick up their 40 time by half a second. Like they're not doing anything ridiculous like that. They're not taking massive, significant developmental leaps. But I feel like it's a time where you can kind of tighten the screws. And so for you personally, what are you kind of looking for the bye week or like just, yeah, with your approach to the game, whatever that may be? What's this bye week look like for you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, out in position, it's always hard to key in on just one thing. So you have to do it all. So I'm always looking just to tighten up my fundamentals on if it's pass pro, if it's run blocking, if it's combo blocks with the tackle, if it's pass routes, if it's blocking on the perimeter, all these things. You know, I'm going to go back and watch these first 4 games we played and identify some weak points for me. You know, and there's always things to get better on, whether that's flexibility, whether that's blocking in the pass game or whatnot. Obviously, I've been more included in the pass game this year, so I'm going to keep working there. I'm going to keep working in the run game. You know, it's just tight end's hard to really hone in on one thing. And we like me, Tony, and me, we have to be ready for anything the team needs, whether that's 12P runs, whether that's 11P runs, 12P pass, 11P pass, spread out wide, screen game, things like that. So we just got to go keep tightening our sharpening our sword.
Yeah, honestly, just hoping put people in the dirt. That's kind of what we're all hoping to see there. But thank you so much, Hayden. This is Hayden Hansen, Florida Gators starting tight end. Catch him every week on Locked On Gators and every week on the field, except this week, I guess, because it's my week. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free, whether it's in the podcast and on YouTube. We will be back tomorrow, as always, talk more Florida Gators football. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my Florida Gators written work with swampsignal.substack.com, and I will see you all next time.